My goal at the beginning of this year was to double my discography, which meant between January and December, I wanted to release something like 40 songs. And here, not even halfway through the year, I'm already on pace to more than double that goal. And really, it just comes down to 3 simple changes that I made in my approach to music production and sort of just my general mentality that I think you can make yourself and instantly see an improvement in your own productivity. So let's get right into it with tip number 1. You need to set a clear, achievable goal and hold yourself accountable. It's not the most succinct title, but that's the tip. All right, what do you want from me? So what I mean by that, there's a good actual scholarship that's gone into, how to set good goals, and I'm not gonna dive into that in this video. Let me know if you want me to in a future video. But a big, huge 30,000 foot overview of everything that I've learned is that a really good goal has an internal locus of control. In other words, it needs to be something that you truly control the outcome of. So an example of a bad goal is to say, I want to hit X number of monthly listeners by the end of next month. You have no control over whether Spotify pushes your music out into the algorithm, whether people find you on social media. You really don't have a say in whether you get those monthly listeners, and it's gonna feel bad if you don't reach it. A much better goal is to say, I want to make X number of pieces of content to promote my music by the end of next month. I want to release X number of songs by the end of next month. Those are things that you can do, and then whatever happens after, happens after. So set a good goal, something that you control the outcome of. Make sure it's achievable, given the amount of time and resources that you actually have to put into it. Don't say that I want to have an enormous ad campaign that's going to cost thousands of dollars when you can't scratch 2 pennies together. It doesn't make any sense at all. And don't say you want to release an album every single month if you've only got 2 hours a week to work on music. Set an achievable goal that works within the constraints of what your actual lifestyle is and what your actual resources are, and then hold yourself accountable. And this means getting into tip number 2, embrace deadlines. Now that's a good concise title right there. So I'm assuming a big reason that you want to be more productive with your music production is because you want to take music production seriously. And music is in this kind of weird space between being something that feels like it should be this purely creative art form that's, very but then if you're trying to take it seriously and you're trying to grow, you're trying to make it a source of income, then ultimately you need to treat it a little bit more like a business or a job. And those two things feel like they tend to butt heads, but they don't have to. So one way that you can really kind of marry the two feelings is to just embrace deadlines. So that means sometimes you're gonna have a deadline that either you set yourself, or maybe, in my case, a label has a compilation that I want to submit to that already has a clear defined deadline, and now I'm holding myself accountable to that deadline. But maybe in some cases, like my goal to release 40 songs this year, that means I have to finish tracks basically once a week. Sometimes I'm gonna miss weeks, sometimes I'm not gonna feel well. So my goal was to finish track, have it release ready, and pitched out to a label at least once a week. And since I started this, I've been doing many more than that. And what you're doing when you embrace setting deadlines is you're allowing yourself to step away from this space where you're only operating on this moment of creative inspiration, and instead you're treating it more like a commitment you made to yourself or to this job that you've created. There are gonna be times where a deadline's approaching and you're not feeling that moment of inspiration, you're not feeling awash with just artistic freedom, and the creative juices may not be flowing. But if you hold yourself accountable to those deadlines, you start building up the muscle memory to be able to execute even without the inspiration. And that brings me to tip number 3, and that's to separate experimentation from execution. So a big thing that I've noticed in my own approach to music over this past year is really just that when I have a deadline coming up, or say I've got a super loaded plate, or I've got just a little bit of time to work, and I know that I need to get something done in a short period of time, I'll basically tap into all of these things that I came up with in those moments of inspiration when I had an abundance of time, and I'll use those as little tools and building blocks to bring them together into something new. So being able to chisel out moments where you can just fully create, just be creative when the inspiration's there, and experiment and come up with new mixing techniques, new sounds, new motifs, learn a new scale, play around with a new instrument. Those are really important moments as far as being a creative, productive person go, but it can't be 100% of the picture, right? So if you're coming up on a deadline, it's really important to dive into the toolbox that should always be growing, that you have to sort of build the thing that you need to build in time for the deadline. You'll probably notice in a lot of my beat breakdowns, there's a lot of kind of similar guitar motifs from time to time. I use a lot of the same VSTs, and that's because when I'm really busy and I'm super packed for time, I don't have time to shop through presets and go on and watch a bunch of like new synth promo videos and check out the latest plugins. I've got a set of tools that I know really well from the time that I spend experimenting with them and the time that I spend, being creative, that I can tap into when I need to be productive. So sorry about my voice in this one. I'm like super sick. That's another reason this is like a super quick video, but I do really think that these 3 changes have made an enormous impact in my own productivity. I hope they're helpful for you. If they are, let me know in the comments and let me know what you guys want to see next. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.